Hey there, guys. This is the fourth section, determining whether lines are parallel or perpendicular, or I guess not. That's going to start with, I want to define a couple of words. I want to make sure that we understand what the word parallel means. I want to make sure that we understand what the word perpendicular means. And I want you to know that parallel lines, if you look at their slopes are exactly the same. Same sign, same number, same everything. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, have slopes that are called what we call opposite reciprocals. Okay, so what does this all mean? Well, the first thing is parallel lines are two lines that if you were to graph them would never ever touch one another. That's what it is meant when we say parallel lines. Two lines that are never going to touch one another. And they could be steep lines, and they could be flat lines, they could be vertical lines, they could be horizontal lines. But the two lines will never, ever, ever cross. Okay, well, what is the opposite of parallel? And if you're thinking perpendicular, not exactly. The opposite of parallel lines are what we call intersecting lines. It means that the lines do cross one another. And they could cross in a bunch of different ways, but there is one special type of intersecting line. So this is a section of intersecting lines that is very special to us. If the two lines do cross, they are intersecting, and when they cross, they make a right angle, then we call them perpendicular. All right. So now we can get in and talk about slopes a little bit more. All right, in this first equation, y equals 3x plus 5, the slope is 3 over 1. It's the number in front of x. You learned that in the last unit. Equation number 2 is y equals 3x minus 8. That slope is also 3 over 1. Because the slopes are exactly the same, the two lines are parallel. Go ahead and jump down to the next two. The slope of this first line, y equals negative 1 over 5x plus 6. This slope is negative 1 over 5. Y equals 5x plus 2. This slope is positive 5 over 1. This is an opposite reciprocal. So what does this mean? Well, the word opposite is telling us that they have different signs. Means one has to be positive while the other one has to be negative. This is the case here. That first line is negative 1 over 5, and the second equation is positive 5 over 1. That's what opposite means. And the word reciprocal in math means that the fraction has been flipped upside down. So if you have A over B, the reciprocal is B over A. So both of these things have to happen. The fraction has to be flipped upside down, and they must have different signs. It has to be an opposite reciprocal. It has to be an opposite reciprocal, not just a reciprocal and not just opposite. It has to be both opposite and reciprocal. If it is, then that special type of intersecting line is called a perpendicular line. It will cross at 90 degrees. Let's take a look at example 1, and let's find the line that is perpendicular to the given equation, 10x plus 6y equals 12. Well, the first thing I have to do is I have to solve this equation for y. I have to find out the slope of this line. So first thing, I can subtract 10x. So 6y equals negative 10x plus 12. And to get y by itself, I'll divide everything by 6. So 6 over 6 is 1. Negative 10 over 6 reduces to negative 5 over 3. 12 over 6 reduces to 2. So the slope here is negative 5 over 3. The slope of the perpendicular has to be an opposite reciprocal to what is given. So the opposite reciprocal to negative 5 over 3 is positive 3 over 5. So what I'm looking for is the equation that has a slope of positive 3 over 5. Choice A has a slope of negative 5 over 3. So that is not correct. Choice B has a slope of positive 5 over 3. Not correct. Choice C has a slope of negative 3 over 5. I need positive 3 over 5. And there it is. In choice D, I see my slope of 3 over 5. So the following, which line is perpendicular to 10x plus 6y equals 12? That is the line y equals 3 over 5x minus 7. Now, the next two problems, these are going to be a lot of the problems that you're going to have to show mastery on. All right. If we're talking about showing mastery, one of the things that I want to make sure of is I want to make sure that you can find the slopes and then make a decision of whether they are parallel, perpendicular, or neither of those two. And it's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to give you a list of points, and I'm going to ask you if the slopes of two pairs of them. So in this case, determine algebraically whether AB and CD. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out points A and B. So A is at negative 8, negative 7, and B is at 4, negative 4. So I'm going to find the slope between these 2 points. And if you remember from the last video, when we were finding the slope, we said it's y2 minus y1. So negative 7 minus negative 4 over top of x2 minus x1. Negative 8 over negative 4. I'm sorry, negative 8 minus 4. So negative 7 minus negative 4 is the same thing as saying negative 7 plus 4, which is negative 3. On the bottom, negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. Reduce this fraction, negative 3 over negative 12, reduces to 1/4. Right? Negative over a negative is positive. So that is AB. Next thing I'll do is I'll look at CD. C is at negative 2, negative 5. D is at 1, 7. So let's find the slope. It's rise over run. So y's go on top. Negative 5 minus 7. And on bottom, negative 2 minus 1. Negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So this reduces to 4 over 1. Negative over negative is positive. So now I have to compare my two slopes. Positive 1 over 4 and positive 4 over 1. They are not exactly the same, so they are not parallel. They are reciprocals, however, they are not opposite reciprocals, so they are not perpendicular. In this case, they are neither. This is the toughest type that you'll see. The ones where you have the reciprocal, but the signs just aren't opposites. And it's always a tough one. Students always struggle with, but it's so close. You're right, it is so close. But unless they're exactly the same or they are opposite reciprocals, unfortunately the answer is neither. Take a look at the last example, example 3. Doing the same thing. Determine algebraically whether AB, so I'm going to start with points A and B. A is at negative 3, 8. B is at 4, negative 6. So the slope is y's over x's, so 8 minus negative 6, negative 3 minus 4. 8 minus negative 6 is 14. And 3 minus negative 4 is negative 7. Reduce this to negative 2 over 1. CD. C is at 4, negative 7. B is at negative 2, 5. So this slope, again, y is over x is negative 7 minus 5. 4 minus negative 2. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12. 4 minus negative 2 is 6. This reduces to negative 2 over 1. So now I just compare my two slopes. Negative 2 over 1 and negative 2 over 1 are exactly the same. So these two lines are parallel. AB is parallel to CD. All right, guys, have a good night.